Welcome back to the AI Daily Brief. Today's episode is honestly almost a throwback. You might remember that about a year ago, when we were looking at Microsoft's Work Trends Index for 2024, one of the big themes was this secret cyborg idea. I think at the time the stat was that 75% of knowledge workers were now using AI, and again, this was in Q1 of 2024, and of those, 78% of them were bringing their own tools to work and not telling their colleagues and bosses about it. Microsoft called this BYOAI. This set a tone for a lot of discussions throughout the year. Remember, at that time, we were firmly in the paradigm of AI as a productivity enhancement tool for individual employees. Times have shifted somewhat, and a lot more of the attention now is on the design and integration of agentic systems and their implications for how things are built in general. But of course, even with all these big structural changes, employees haven't gone away. In fact, if anything, I think that the shift to agentic makes the need to upskill employees even more pertinent because it looks nothing like the upskilling that's happening now. But I'm getting a little bit ahead of myself. Let's talk about the studies that prompted this episode, and then we'll come back and do a little bit more of this analysis. So again, to reiterate, this secret cyborg trend is a thing that's been happening for a while. This was reaffirmed by a Slack study back in August that found that 48% of workers were uncomfortable telling their managers that they use AI for common tasks, for fear basically that they would be seen as cheating or appear lazy or incompetent. New research from KPMG in collaboration with the University of Melbourne finds that this is still sort of the case. The report was called Trust Attitudes in the Use of Artificial Intelligence. It surveyed 48,000 workers across 47 countries between November and January. You guys know I'm a stickler for how recent my surveys are, and while I wish these numbers were taken last week, especially because I think Q1 has seen a dramatic shift in agent adoption, we're still talking about pretty recent data. The study found that 57% of workers are still hiding their use of AI at work, and 50% are presenting AI-generated content as their own. And yet, if the secrecy is still alarming and still suggests that there is still a big trust gap, and suggests that the biggest trust gap in AI might not be trusting AI, but the trust between employees and leaders, overall, the study is yet another indicator of just how much AI has infiltrated the workplace. 67% of respondents said that they intentionally use AI at work, and 69% of employees said that their organization uses AI. And there are some positive impacts. 54% are reporting increased efficiency, quality of work, and innovation. 43% are reporting increased revenue-generating activity, which I think is a really important statistic as it's a rubber-hitting-the-road sort of number. Although a meaningful percentage, 28%, have also indicated that they have an increased workload, stress, and pressure because of AI. So if broadly speaking, there's a lot of positive growth in AI and a lot of reporting of starting to see positive effects from AI, it'll be interesting to note that I think that the big story from this report, and really the subtext of all of this, is that organizations are woefully behind when it comes to actually supporting the integration of these tools in a coherent and comprehensive way. This report found that only 60% of organizations have an AI strategy in place, only 54% have responsible use policies, and the lack of policy has real impact. So whereas people last year that were reporting that they were keeping their AI usage secret, I think we're doing so in large part because of their perception of societal attitudes towards AI usage, I think now a lot of it has to do with the incredible disparity between the tools available to employees in their work life and the tools available to them as general consumers. 70% of workers in this survey globally said that they're using publicly available free tools. These tools, of course, are not enterprise grade. They don't have specific privacy or security guarantees, but they are a hell of a lot better than any of the absolute dog poop that makes up what enterprises are spending boatloads on for their employees. What's more, I believe that the disparity between the enterprise offerings and the consumer offerings is doing nothing but increasing. Now, on top of this, organizations aren't even really supporting people with the tools they are provisioning. Just 42% of those surveyed said that they felt that they had the skills and knowledge to use AI appropriately. Only 28% have formal or informal training in AI. Only 52% overall feel they can use AI tools effectively. KPMG writes, while the rapid adoption of AI is delivering benefits, many employees are using AI in complacent and inappropriate ways, increasing risk for organizations and individuals and raising quality issues. For example, almost half admit to using AI in ways that contravene organizational policies and uploading sensitive company information such as financial, sales, or customer information to public AI tools. 3 in 5 report that they've seen or heard of other employees using AI tools in inappropriate ways. 2 in 3 report relying on AI output without evaluating the information it provides, and over half say they've made mistakes in their work due to AI. What makes these risks even more challenging to manage is that over half of employees avoid revealing when they use AI to complete their work and present AI-generated content as their own. These findings highlight a lack of transparency and accountability in the way AI tools are being used by employees at work. Now, I'm not sure that it was KPMG's goal to make it seem like the onus is entirely on employees. But let me be clear. This is not an employee problem. This is a leadership problem. A failure to provide the right tools, a failure to provide the right policies, a failure to provide the right guidelines, a failure to provide the right training, a failure to provide the right guardrails. And most of all, a failure to communicate what your expectations are as an organization, how you see the future shaking out, and where employees fit in that vision. These are all leadership deficits. And yes, it is employee usage where the problems of these leadership deficits come home to roost, but make no mistake, they are leadership deficits. It is not an employee's job who is just trying to do their job better to get your AI policies in place and to run around half the organization trying to figure out if this incredibly powerful tool that could make their work much better is or isn't appropriate based on what you figured out. That is a job for leadership, for executives to communicate and to actually make the decisions that need to get made. Now look, enterprise change is extremely difficult. These organizations are huge, Borg-like, and I absolutely believe that they are working as hard as they ever have to adapt to a new technology paradigm as quickly as they can. But the simple fact of the matter is it's not fast enough. And if you are an enterprise leader who is listening to this right now, the numbers here are clear and in black and white. It is almost certainly the case that you have to move faster. And the stakes are doing nothing but increasing. One of my big gripes right now with the state of upskilling and education in AI is that it's still operating in the paradigm of 9 to 12 months ago, that AI upskilling was all about how employees get more productive by using copilots. The reality is we've already shifted out of that era. We are now firmly entering the era where the key skills are how to build, provision, and manage agent teams, how to think differently about delegation, about the design of work on a fundamental level, how to understand new capabilities that were not possible before, that digital employees can unlock. No one is provisioning that sort of training right now, and it's going to bite people very, very quickly. When I take a step back, I spend all day, every day with companies who are thinking about AI transformation. I am incredibly bullish about where this all resolves. I think that individuals and teams are going to be empowered to build things in ways that were completely unthinkable, not just years ago, but even months ago. I think that the potential that work in 5 years is better than it's ever been is extremely high. But I also think that a lot of how this shakes out is going to come down to how we behave now. This big study suggests that there is a lot more work to be done. For now, though, that is going to do it for today's AI Daily Brief. Appreciate you listening as always, and until next time, peace